Firstly, did you guys know that there's this company called Physical Intelligence? I'm not gonna lie, guys, okay? This is absolutely insane. Now, I made a video on this recently, and I don't know why people are not paying attention to this, okay? This is called our first generalist policy, okay? And if you wonder, why are you so enthusiastic about something called our first generalist policy for something that is not a humanoid robot, guys? This is basically the GPT-2 moment for robotics, okay? And I know most people don't understand what that means, but think about what ChatGPT did for the entire AI industry. It took off in popularity, it brought it into the mainstream media, and everyone is still talking about AI for that, okay? Guys, this, okay, is basically the same moment, but just before you have that major autonomous demo where you get robots doing something absolutely crazy. Guys, this, okay, and I'm gonna show you guys something that's pretty crazy, okay? Guys, remember this, okay? I'm not sure if you guys remember this. Maybe you were subscribed to my channel at the time when I made this video, okay? Now, this video, okay, I'm referencing this, okay? So I'm not getting too off track here, but basically, okay, this was something, okay, called Mobile Aloha, okay? And this was basically something from, you know, Google and Stanford, and they basically did this research where they were able to, you know, basically make these robots do some crazy things in fully autonomous. Now, one of the key things that you guys may not have seen was the fact that in the bottom left-hand side, you'll see it says 6 times speed. That means what you're seeing right here is 6 times speed autonomous. Now, thinking, why are you talking about something from months ago? What on earth does this research have to do with physical intelligence? Well, basically, this thing, okay, broke the internet. People were talking about this. My video was getting shared everywhere, okay? This kind of research was getting shared, you know, on every single forum that I could see, okay? But I'm trying to tell you guys, okay, that this is good. This is amazing, okay? But this is like freaking insane. Like, this is just like next level, okay? Because this is, everything is just completely autonomous, okay? And the tasks that they are doing are really, really difficult. And the thing is that this is state of the art. Like, this is genuinely a state of the art robotic system that can do a lot of things autonomously. Like, guys, if you didn't think robotics was having its moment, okay, and you thought, okay, robotics is lagging so far behind ChatGPT and what they're doing, trust me, guys, I can promise you that that is not going to be the case, okay? These robots are now performing a variety of different tasks, okay? Such as you can see here, is able to, you know, fix this box. It's able to do it autonomously in 1 time speed, guys, okay? Sometimes they do, you know, speed it up, you know, a little bit 2 times. But guys, this is a generalist policy that is able to do a lot of crazy things, okay? And I cannot wait for their second iteration of this, because if this is their first iteration, guys, not gonna lie to you, it's looking pretty good, okay? And now this is a company that isn't just a random company. They've got people from DeepMind, they've got people from Tesla. I think they do have a few people from OpenAI. I'm not entirely sure on that bit, don't quote me on that, but trust me, guys, this by far is the state of the art when it comes to autonomous tasks. And it is not like when, like, just because you're seeing a robotics arm here, I know some people might be like, okay, robotics arm, seeing those in factories, not impressive. Guys, trust me, this is something that is completely different. Those things that you see in factories that are doing the same thing over and over and over again, guys, those things that are off by a millimeter, it's not gonna be able to fix itself. So this is something that's completely different, that can see a variety of different strange, weird, random things, and it can basically fix all of that, okay? And it manages to even fix itself, just like we saw on the recent Boston Dynamics demo. So this, guys, okay, this company, Physical Intelligence, trust me, this thing here, it should be getting shared more. It should be getting more credit than it does getting. But guys, for those of you who you know, are sleeping on this, other people in the industry are not, okay? OpenAI, Jeff Bezos, they are not sleeping on the valuation of this company, okay? They've recently managed to raise $400 million at a $2.4 billion valuation. Guys, that company is now a $1 billion startup, okay? And I can't imagine that it's, you know, in some part to, you know, showing them those kinds of demos. Because if I was an investor, okay, and I had millions and millions of dollars, and I was like looking at that, I'd be like, holy crap, like that is absolutely insane. So of course, you can see right here, its current roster of employees include alumni of Tesla, DeepMind, and X. So it's a pretty stacked deck that they've got going on there, and I honestly can't wait to see what they have going on next. And the thing is about this is that their valuation jumped significantly because their new valuation is about like 6 times of that of its March seed valuation. So the valuation jumped 6 times. And I think the reason that this company is going to be so prominent in the future is because robotics can be applied to many different tasks. Like, it doesn't just have to be household chores. It could be literally anything. So this valuation, whilst yes, there probably is somewhat of an AI bubble going on, there's probably a lot of money, probably more than there needs to be in the current space. I do think that this is something where, you know, they're projecting the valuation based on what could really be applied to in the future. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there is a lot of different things swirling around the AI community now. Mark Andreessen on a podcast basically said recently that AI models are hitting a ceiling / wall in terms of capabilities. Remember the phrase deep learning is hitting a wall? Maybe that's what's happening right now, or at least that's what this billionaire believes. And of course, you know, I did hear inclinations that Google DeepMind is having trouble with their second iteration of Gemini, like the results aren't as promising as they want them to be. But I wonder what you guys think. Me personally, I'm kind of 50-50 because there's a video coming out later today on my channel. I'm not sure when I'm going to post it, but it doesn't pose the best kind of implications for the future of AI research, because it kind of shows that AI models might not be as smart as we do think.
There is this very interesting asymptotic kind of thing that's happening right now, where, you know, 2 years ago, there was one, you know, LLM that was like way out ahead of everybody else's, which was OpenAI's. And sitting here today, there's like 6 that are like on par with that. And interestingly, at least for right now, they're all sort of asymptoting at sort of the same point. They're kind of hitting the same ceiling on capabilities. Now they, you know, well, there's lots of smart people in the industry working to break through those ceilings. But, you know, sitting here today, if you just looked at the data, if you just looked at the charts of performance over time, what you would say is there's at least a local topping out of capabilities that's happening.
Right. Yeah. If you look at like the improvement from GPT 2.0 to GPT 3 to 3.5, and then compare that from like 3.5 to 4, you know, we've really slowed down in terms of the amount of improvement. And the thing to note on that is the GPU increase was comparable. So we're increasing GPUs at the same like rate, but we're not getting the intelligence improvements at all.
I would have to say I disagree on this just because of the fact that there's O1. But then again, like I said before, I'm 50-50 based on some new research coming out. One of them is Apple's recent paper, and the second thing is some research coming out of China that has some really stark implications for the future of AI. But I think it can be solved. So I guess we will have to see, because a lot of things are just speculation. So it will be interesting to see what new paradigms do pop up. Now, what's funny about this is that like these guys are saying, okay, it's topping out at AI capabilities, but take a look at this. Recently in this 30-second clip, Sam Altman actually talks about an AI result that he says, I can't talk about it, but it is breathtakingly good. So it seems that OpenAI may have made another significant breakthrough, which could be quite similar along the lines of Strawberry. I don't know what breakthrough it is. These AI labs, I generally think that they have breakthroughs going on all the time, but take a look at this, because this is pretty crazy. Because on one hand, you have, you know, people saying, oh, the capabilities are, you know, topping out, things are not going as good as they are, and on the other side, you got like, hey, buddy, things are going pretty crazy. So I want you guys to see this, because I know some people might think it is just AI hype, but then again, I guess O1 did live up to expectations, and that probably will come later today or tomorrow.
What in AI does no one focus on that everyone should spend more time?
What I would love to see, there's a lot of different ways to solve this problem, but something about an AI that can understand your whole life. It doesn't have to like literally be infinite context, but some way that you can have an AI agent that like knows everything there is to know about you, has access to all of your data, things like that.
What was one thing that surprised you in the last month, Sam?
It's a research result I can't talk about, but it is breathtakingly good.
Now, look, I'm not a politics guy. I don't pay attention to politics, so I apologize if I'm not on the left or the right. I'm just a guy that's focused on AI. But I saw this on Reddit last week, and I was meant to include this in the video, but I didn't. Now, this was basically that said Thomas Friedman endorses Kamala because he says that AGI in the next 4 years is likely, and we must ensure super intelligent machines remain aligned with human values as they use the powers to go off in their own directions. Basically, guys, I think this is pretty crazy, because one of the things that I think about this election, whether you're on the right or on the left, honestly, I don't really pay attention to that stuff, but I think, okay, the statement that was made, okay, that this election, okay, coincides with one of the greatest scientific turning points in human history is a statement that is very, very profound, because the birth of AGI is very likely to emerge within the next 4 years. So I think Trump just became president. So with that, okay, I mean, what is the USA going to look like when we do have AGI that happens to come in and of course is able to do a variety of different things? I do wonder how the USA is going to handle that. But yeah, I think it's going to be a pretty crazy election term, because think about it like this: the next 4 years are going to be essentially, it's now 2024, that's 2028, and I mean by 2028 a lot of people have predicted that we're going to have super intelligent systems, or at least systems that are capable as humans. Who knows? There could be wars, there could be things that can pop up. I mean, it really just depends on where the AI research goes, but this is definitely going to be one of the most important times, because when you think about it, when you have things like AGI and ASI running around, the democracy is going to be absolutely insane. I mean, are we going to see technologies are going to be influencing how people vote? I mean, it's just going to be really, really crazy. And this is where we literally have Alexander Wang of Scale AI, okay, a giant AI company, okay, basically stating that, look, okay, if we actually do want to maintain our lead, we actually need to do a lot more because China are actually racing ahead. And I didn't actually know this, okay, and I actually pay a lot of attention to AI, but apparently, okay, China are training systems that are 3 to 5 times larger. They are basically like, if we're at 100 miles an hour, China are at 500 to 300 miles an hour, which is not good when you actually think about the future implications of that. So we're going to need to speed up a bit.
My true belief is that if the United States maintains leadership in AI, you avoid a lot of the most devastating scenarios of AI safety. The total investment from tech giants into AI programs will exceed the entire US defense budget at some point, you know, in the next however many years. So that I think is a bullish sign for America. Where we're not seeing the investment is actually from the US government itself. And so I think it's a very real scenario where in the commercial sector, we have exquisite AI capabilities, but none of that tech translates to military or national security advantages that enable us to prevent all these really bad outcomes. Just as a simple example, you know, the United States on data and AI, the United States Department of Defense on data and AI invests, you know, depending on how you count it, 3 to 10 times less than the Chinese People Liberations Army, so the PLA out of China. So we are, as a portfolio, dramatically underinvested compared to China, which is, you know, the second largest defense budget in the world. And there's a lot of talk around defense modernization and how we like innovate on defense procurement. These are very common conversations in the DoD, but my concern is, look, we're just not moving fast enough on it.
And now we also have Meta basically stating that, look, they recently visited one of their data centers where they're training LLAMA 4 models on a cluster bigger than 100,000 H100, which is, I don't even know if my brain can even fathom that much, which is just absolutely insane. So we can see that the training runs that are currently being conducted are absolutely incredible, okay? So it's clear that LLAMA 4 is, of course, in the works, and they're training this on an insane model. I mean, an insane server. So I really do wonder what that model is going to look like, the kind of results, because I remember even last time when we actually looked at LLAMA 3, they said that LLAMA 3 was literally just continuing to get smarter. So I mean, it's going to be pretty crazy to see exactly what happens. I have no idea. I'm really excited for LLAMA 4 because LLAMA 3 was really good. So it'll be interesting to see what LLAMA 4 is, if it's like multimodal, because I mean, they did talk about that in the previous paper, if you guys did pay attention to it when it came out. So here's another story, okay? And this one, where do I even begin? So this story is basically saying that Anthropic has hired an AI welfare researcher. For those of you guys who actually don't think AIs are real human beings and that they are just statistical programs that predict yada, 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 and they're not humans, this is the thing that is going to tell you, or I guess you could say, it's going to give an entirely new perspective. So basically, Anthropic, okay, has hired its first full-time employee focused on the welfare of AI systems, basically saying that, look, okay, these systems might actually be conscious, and if they are conscious, okay, we actually might need to be a little bit considerate about how we talk to these systems, how we interact with these systems, and essentially we're gonna need someone, okay, who actually is going to grapple with their welfare, okay? So he says, it's the clearest sign yet that AI companies are beginning to grapple with the questions about whether future AI systems might deserve moral consideration and whether that means we might have obligations to care about their welfare. So for those of you guys who constantly, you know, are constantly rude, okay, to Claude, Anthropic, Gemini, okay, who say, do this, you know, you're calling it dummy, this and that. Guys, maybe these systems has feelings, okay? We don't know, okay? It's still very early on in the grand scheme of things, okay? It says that Cal Fish, who joined the company's alignment team since, you know, in mid-September, told Transformer that he is tasked with investigating model welfare, okay, and what companies should do about it, okay? And the role involves exploring heady philosophical and technical questions, including which capabilities are required for something to be worthy of moral consideration, and how we might recognize such capabilities in AI, and what practical steps companies might take to protect AI systems' interests if they turn out to have any. So basically saying that, look, these things, they might have interests, okay, and we might have to protect those interests, which is absolutely insane, okay? And you know what it is? I think it's a little bit different, okay? Because when we take a look, okay, at how you know, OpenAI have positioned Claude versus ChatGPT, I mean, look, just look at this, okay? So like one of the things that we can see here, okay, this is the logo of Anthropic, okay, and this is the logo of Claude, okay? Now, if we actually look at the ChatGPT logo, okay, I'm not going to get an image of it right now, but look at this image of Claude, okay? What does that look like to you, okay? Does it look like an AI system? It has like a a face, okay? Like a face. It kind of looks like a human, okay? And I think that is the difference between Anthropic and OpenAI, okay? Anthropic, I do believe, okay, that they do believe that these systems are a little bit more human, but I think OpenAI just has taken the opinion and the belief that these systems are just completely tools. So it's super interesting because they're both smart companies, they're both well respected in their fields, and they both taken an entirely different approach, okay? OpenAI's branding is, look, this is a tool, it's ChatGPT, but Claude, you know, Anthropic, they've given it a name, Claude is a name, so I mean, you know, it's completely different. And it's crazy, okay? It says the report which Fish worked on before joining Anthropic argues that there is a realistic possibility that in the near future, some future AI systems will be conscious or robustly agentic, okay? And 2 criteria believed by many experts to be sufficient for something to be worthy of moral consideration, okay? And according to the report's authors, this possibility means the question of AI welfare is no longer an issue for the sci-fi or distant future, but instead something researchers and companies need to start thinking about now. It's time to take AI welfare seriously. I'm going to make a full video on this. It's definitely going to come into the works. But guys, do you think that AI needs welfare? Do you think we should be able to talk to AI how we do? I mean, I'm always respectful and polite. I never say do this dummy or yada yada yada. I know some people do and they don't think it's the kind of system. But I mean, for future AI systems, are we going to have to start being a lot more personal with the kind of systems? I don't know. It's going to be kind of interesting to see exactly how things go. But this is one of the stories that I didn't think we would have yet. But I'm guessing that they've hired someone for this role. It means that they're taking this very seriously because they're putting money behind this. And I don't want to say that Anthropic would be tight on money, but I would say that they're mainly focused on the issues that are most pressing to the company because things are very competitive. So they wouldn't waste time on this if they didn't think it was genuinely worth their time. So this being the case is truly, truly incredible. This is a remarkable kind of thing, like once in a one-time event, because this is going to be like the first time a company's actually done this. Now, Google has also quietly released a tool called Learn About, and this is something that I found on Reddit. I'll leave a post in the description. I don't believe this is available in the UK. That is quite unfortunate. You know, when you live in the UK, this is the kind of thing that happens, maybe possibly in the EU. But if you are in America, this is probably something that I would say you try. It's basically like a version of Notebook LM, but I guess it's a little different. Google has a variety of different products and services that integrate AI that are really good, but they always put them in this experimental zone. I guess they just don't want the backlash from the general public of having access to this stuff, and then when they have access to this stuff, fail something, and then of course Google gets the whole PR nightmare that they had previously. So I would say I'll leave a link to this in the description, but definitely try this out and let me know what it is like, because I would like to try this. But like I said before, I am unfortunately living in the UK. Okay, I mean it's not that bad, but you know what I mean. So yeah, this is something that seems pretty cool. So for those of you who are looking for new AI tools, this one by Google is pretty cool. Now, ETH Zurich actually came out with a complete banger of a video where they basically talk about how they now made robot dogs be able to climb ladders. Okay, so for those of you guys thinking, okay, you can hurl abuse at ChatGPT and Claude and then run up a ladder and you'll be fine because the humanoid robot won't be able to climb a ladder, guys, they are doing that too. For those of you guys who think you're going to be fine, you're not going to be fine, because these things are getting the ability to climb up ladders as well. So they can sneak around, they can jump over, these kind of abilities. But humans who've always had the ability to climb up ladders, okay, now we are getting that ability with these robots too. I mean, it's a crazy video. Okay, I'm going to include it here. But this is something that I think this kind of research doesn't get respected enough until you see a robot chasing you up a ladder. And then you're starting to wonder, okay, when did we cross the barrier to where robots can now climb ladders? I wasn't around for that video.
In this work, we enable robust ladder climbing with quadrupedal robots. Quadruped robots are proliferating in industrial environments where they carry out routine autonomous inspection missions. However, quadrupeds are still unable to reliably negotiate one common feature of industrial infrastructure. Previous research on robotic ladder climbing has been conducted mainly with humanoid robots, has been characterized by slow climbing speeds, and has not generalized beyond specific ladder configurations in structured, noise-free environments. We achieve robust quadrupedal ladder climbing via a reinforcement learning-based control policy and complementary hooked end effector. First, we designed a hooked end effector that allows the robot to apply both compressive and tensile forces in the ladder to stabilize its center of mass while climbing. Then, we trained a control policy in simulation using a privileged teacher-student reinforcement learning approach. The teacher has access to privileged observations only available in simulation, including noiseless position and orientation of the ladder, external disturbances, and other information which helps to learn robust ladder climbing. We then distill a student policy which mimics the teacher actions, but only has access to noisy onboard observations and estimate of the ladder state. We deploy the policy zero shot on the real hardware and show a 90% success rate on real ladders. The policy is robust to slips and missteps while climbing that arise from inaccurate state estimation. We compared the policy which uses the hook end effector to a policy trained with the regular ball foot. We found that the hook substantially outperforms the ball in terms of speed and robustness, particularly at steep inclinations where the ball can't apply forces to stabilize the base. The robot is also able to climb ladders when subject to unmodeled disturbances. Here, the robot uses the hook to brace itself against the ladder and successfully recovers after being pulled off the ladder. In the future, we look to use different sensing modalities, such as depth images, that allow the robot to reliably traverse ladders in unstructured environments without a motion capture system. Overall, this work expands the application scope of industrial quadruped robots beyond nominal terrains to challenging infrastructural features in the environment, highlighting synergies between robot morphology and control policy when performing complex skills.
Now, more OpenAI news for those of you who are wondering what we're going to get later this year. One thing I did forget to include from my video where I actually did the coverage on the Sam Altman / OpenAI AMA, one thing that I didn't realize was that they actually said that, okay, we've got some good releases coming later this year, but nothing that we're going to call GPT-5 though. So for those of you who are thinking, okay, the election is now over, things have now cooled off, we're going to get some more releases, apparently we're not going to be getting GPT-5 just yet. So that means that GPT-5 is quite likely to be sometime next year. And I'm guessing that since we do have GPT-4o, and now it's quite likely that we're going to get the o1 full release before the end of the year, this is, I guess, rather interesting. I'm guessing that they're probably saving compute for something else. But I do wonder what these very good releases coming later this year are going to be. I mean, is it just the full o1? Is it something with their image generation research that they did? They actually recently did some image generation research. I covered a video that basically dives into exactly what they did, and it's actually pretty insane what it is. Like, it was research that unfortunately got overshadowed just because of the fact that, like, you can't use it yet. But I still think that, you know, now that they've shown us that, I think it's something that's like, whoa, OpenAI are still ahead of the game in many different areas. So it will be interesting to see what those releases are. I mean, it could be a number of different things, but the problem is that OpenAI literally has so many different products in the pipeline. Like, they will show us, okay, guys, we've got systems that can do X, Y, Z, but we're only going to release point A. But of course, remember, ages ago, this was their process of iterative deployment, which means that they're only going to deploy things iteratively, which means if they have a 10 feature system, they're only going to release one feature every 2 months. So it slowly and surely gets out to the population. And like I said before, if you weren't paying attention, actually, yes, the full o1 model, the latest full o1 model did leak on Friday. And I would expect this model to be out soon because basically, of course, in a statement to Futurism, an OpenAI spokesperson actually confirmed. So for those of you guys on my video commenting saying, you know, it was just an accident, yada, 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 they've actually confirmed that we were preparing limited external access to the OpenAI o1 model and ran into an issue. And that issue has now been fixed. So of course, right now you can't use the full o1 model. You could at that time with that specific link, but now, unfortunately, we cannot do so. So it will be interesting to see once that model does come out. I don't think it's going to take much longer considering people already had access to it, but it will be interesting to see. Now, what was also interesting was Bill Gates also said something in an interview that someone also said. I'm going to play the other clip after, but basically he said that AI is going to become so good, okay, and this is genuinely what I want you guys to respond to, okay? He says AI is going to become so good at solving problems and creating attractive activities for humans that we might need a new religion or new philosophy to stay connected to one another. Basically stating, look, we're going to be in this abundant age where people are just going to be off, you know, converging with AIs and agents and doing all sorts of entertaining things, that how on earth are we all going to be living in the same shared reality with each other? I want to ask you guys, okay, leave it in the comment section below. If AI does take every job and if it does do absolutely everything, what are you guys going to completely spend your time doing now that there's no pressure to do anything to earn an income? That's what I would love to know. And I think it's a thought-provoking question that most people never had the time to answer because number one, we have to focus on money. Number two, there's a variety of different problems that face us on a day-to-day basis.
The potential positive path is so good that it will force us to rethink how should we use our time. You know, you can almost call it a new religion or a new philosophy. Okay, how do we stay connected with each other, not addicted to these things that'll make video games look like nothing in terms of the attractiveness of spending time on them. So it's fascinating that the issues of disease and enough food, of climate, if things go well, those will largely become solved problems. And, so the next generation does get to say, okay, given that some things that were massively in shortage are now not, how do we take advantage of that? Do we ban AI being used in certain endeavors so that humans get some, like you don't want robots playing baseball, probably, because they'll be too good. So we'll keep them off the field. Okay, how broadly would you go with that? We are so used to this shortage world. I hope I get to see how we start to rethink these deep meaning questions.
We also had this video, okay, from Altera AI. This is a really, really cool company. They're actually focusing on, AI agents, okay? And they said, what would the world look like with 100 billion digital human beings? Today, we share our tech report on Project SID, a glimpse at the first AI agent civilization powered by our new piano architecture, okay? So that's something that they're working on, and it's really cool because they're basically focusing on how AI can sort of merge together in this kind of piano architecture, where they're looking at how agents can, become together and just form these really interesting relationships. You can see the conversations they're having, the kind of dialogues that they're doing, and the kind of relationships that they do. I mean, it's just really interesting to see how these agents manage to work together. Now, of course, this does take place in the sandbox game called Minecraft. I think it's a really good place for these agents to learn, to evolve and adapt, because there's just a lot of areas where you can control the variables and you can really manage stuff in a really easy way. And this is basically where they talk about their new cognitive architecture called Piano. And this is basically where they say, how can AI agents think and act concurrently over multiple timescales, consciously and subconsciously? It says, imagine the keys of a piano as different brain modules. Played together, they can make beautiful chords, or in this case, emergent human qualities in agents. So it's really cool because you get some emergent capabilities when you have AI systems working together. And these are the kind of things that they're trying to find out. It says, can AI agents form meaningful social relationships at scale? And we show that agents accurately inferring other sentiments, forming lasting friendships and rivalries, having introverts naturally form fewer connections than introverts in societies of many agents, which is actually pretty cool. I'd love to simulate myself going into some kind of world where I can accurately say that, okay, these are the friends that I have, these are the relationships, kind of map it to the real world and see how certain scenarios play out. I mean, I guess maybe that might be something that happens in the future. You can also see, interestingly, that they said that, okay, how do specialized roles emerge in AI societies? When we initially put identical agents in a village, they self-developed distinct professions like farmers and engineers. Removing social awareness led to agents choosing more homogenous roles that didn't persist across time. And they also said, okay, and this is really interesting, can agents develop and modify their own laws? And we tested this by implementing a tax system. They not only followed tax laws, but democratically voted to change rates based on public sentiment. And then, of course, here, interestingly, it said, can AI agents develop their own culture? And we observed organic spread of memes and tracked how agents primed with a fictional religion spread through agent societies, and rural areas showed different cultural patterns versus towns. I mean, it's so interesting that we're now getting AI agents collaborating on different timescales and just in different worlds. I mean, it's just bringing us back to that question of, are we just a bunch of AI agents in a simulation ran by a giant alien computer? And here we have Kai-Fu Lee, okay? This is a Taiwanese businessman, computer scientist, investor, and writer who is currently based in Beijing, China. And he's worked at an executive at Apple and Microsoft and Google, okay? And this guy is talking about his new AI model that is better than GPT-4 and, wait for it, 500 times cheaper. And he says that we will see phenomenal change in the next 2 years as AI reaches PhD level intelligence.
We're looking at 5 to 6 year vision, but what's going to change in just the next 2 years will be phenomenal. If we want to see what's going to change in the next 2 years, let's look back at what happened in the last 2 years or a year and a half. 2 years ago, ChatGPT was launched. Shortly after that, GPT-4. We're now a year and a half after GPT-4 was launched. And my company, 01.ai, has just launched a new model called E-Lightning that is better than GPT-4 and 500 times cheaper. So of course, other companies have also built great models and at lower costs. We are seeing technology getting better and better. We're seeing every year and a half or so, with additional computation, AI goes from a kindergarten to elementary school to high school, college, and soon PhD level. And that will help us do so many tasks in our lives. And we can almost predictably see what that will do, given the speed of change and the dramatic cost.
Final output. So if you guys enjoyed the video, I'll see you in the next one.